So how do you stop pushing someone further away? All right, now so if you're feeling like every move that you make, any message you send, any attempt to show that you care seems to make your partner just pull back more, it's like the more you try, the worse it gets, right? And you're not trying to cause more distance, I get it. You're trying to fix it, to reach out, to reconnect. But most of the time, this will backfire. And so the question that starts ringing in your head, how do I stop pushing her further away? So let's break this down together. It's not about playing some kind of clever game or saying the right thing to get her back. It goes much deeper than that. This is about shifting how you show up, how you feel, how you think. More importantly, how you behave under emotional pressure. So why she usually feels pushed away. Let's be clear, most men who are pushing their partners away, they're not doing it out of spite. It's not about yelling or being controlling in the obvious ways. It's much more subtle. And it's the repeated messages when she's asked for space or sending these really long emotional texts, hoping that this one will be the one that will turn the tide. It's just trying to prove that you've changed or explaining yourself again and again and hoping that somehow the next version is going to make her understand. But the thing is, all of it comes with weight, like emotional weight. And that's the part that a lot of men don't realize. Your partner's probably already at capacity, emotionally, mentally. She's tired, pretty much burnt out from carrying what she feels is the emotional load for too long. So when a woman asks for space and you're still there, even if you're being kind, or loving, it will register as pressure. And pressure doesn't feel like love, it just feels like stressed. So why do we do it? Well, we don't do it because we're trying to hurt her. We generally do it because we're trying to soothe ourselves. When your nervous system is in panic mode, that silence, it's usually unbearable. Right? The fear of the unknown, it's kind of like death. So we want to try to create some certainty, some control, some type of reassurance. But the reality is most communication in this state, it's not for her benefit. It's to relieve your anxiety. It's going to make you feel better. And that is what keeps pushing her further away. Because emotions, well, they're contagious. If you're anxious, your partner will feel it. If your energy's off, she will pick up on it. Women are incredibly attuned to these emotional undercurrents. All right, so the more that you reach out to soothe yourself, the more she's going to pull back. The key shift here is going to be preserving autonomy and lowering resistance. And here's what you need to understand. Every interaction that you have with her right now, it either increases emotional resistance or it decreases it. So your goal shouldn't be to win her back. Your goal should be to lower resistance. So how do you do that? Well, first of all, you've got to preserve autonomy. And that means letting her feel that space that she's actually asked for. All right, it means you stop trying to steer every interaction a certain way and start respecting her boundaries as real, not an obstacle for you to overcome. So every time you communicate with your partner, ask yourself a simple question. Is this for her benefit or is this just to soothe my anxiety? Because if it's the latter, she'll feel it and it won't land. It's like if somebody's trying to sell you something, says that they just want to help you, but you can feel that salesperson's just trying to hit their quota. The words might be kind, but the energy underneath is usually off. And so we trust our gut, and that's what your partner's doing with you right now. So what actually helps a woman feel safe again? What actually allows her to start softening? And it's not your words, it's that feeling of safety. And safety doesn't mean that, you're safe because I've told you that I've changed or I'm changing. It means that, you're safe because I'm no longer that emotionally volatile person, not demanding a result. I'm safe because I'm not trying to perform or audition for your affection. So what helps her feel safe is the space, the silence, your respect for her timeline, and the willingness not to try to fill the gap with more of the same. It's about making any interaction or every possible interaction, if there is, an easy and as pleasant as possible. That's the measure. Not heavy, not intense, nothing filled with expectations. And sometimes that means no interaction at all. Because if you can't show up calm and unattached, it's actually better not to show up at all. And a pattern that I've seen with clients, and I've worked with a lot of men over the years, and what I see again and again is that this chasing, trying to prove worthiness or love, and it almost always comes from anxiety. Guys that say to me, look, I just want her to know how much I care. But when we dig deeper, what they really mean is, I need her to say that she still cares so I can feel okay. And that's not love, that's dependency. And when a woman picks up on that, she starts emotionally detaching to protect herself. The real work, what you need to do instead, you need to start showing up in a way that no longer increases that resistance. You need to become calm, build your center, and stop trying to control the outcome. So if you can give her the dignity of her own timing, her own feelings, and her space to decide what she actually wants without you trying to influence the scale. You become someone whose peace, it's no longer conditional upon her approval, and that is when things can begin to shift. And look at it this way, let's be clear, it's not about playing it cool to try to manipulate her back. It's about actually becoming emotionally grounded. It's about becoming the man that doesn't need to send that message at 1 a.m., who doesn't need her reassurance to feel stable. And you'll know you're doing it right when the thought of her coming back, it feels good, but not necessary. And that's the difference. That's when you stop pushing her further away because you're no longer transferring your panic into her nervous system. And that's when, look, if there is still a connection to be explored, that woman will feel safe enough to explore it because she knows this time it's not about you needing her to fix your chaos, your storm. It's about you being that calm person that you needed to become, and that's how you stop pushing a woman further away. So you need to understand why you're doing the things you're doing are creating more emotional resistance and what to do instead. And this can feel counterintuitive, especially when your head or your heart is just yelling at you to do something. But here's the deal. When a woman says that she does need space, or when she's already pulled away emotionally, she's not doing it to punish you. She's doing it because her nervous system is overloaded. All right, it's not a test. She's just trying to protect herself. And here's the kicker that most guys can miss. The more you try to force connection and closeness when the other person wants space, the less safe that you'll feel. All right, I know that you're not trying to hurt her. You're probably hurting right now and you're panicked and you want to fix it. And from that place, it's easy to believe that reaching out is maybe the brave thing to do. That vulnerability will be your answer, but pouring your heart out again is going to break through. It won't. But here's something you got to understand. When your communication is driven by anxiety, it's always going to increase pressure. Even if the words are nice, even if your head and your heart's in the right place and you genuinely believe that you're being honest and open, the emotional charge, right? That need for her to hear you and respond and engage to relieve your pain, it's only going to get transferred to her. And what you see is trying to connect, she will experience as an emotional weight, as pressure, and not you. And basically, you're not respecting her autonomy. And that's why that shift is so important. It isn't about silence as a tactic. It's more about silence being a sign of respect. Now, you're not going quite to manipulate her into missing you back. Let's not misconstrue this. You're stepping back because you understand what she needs isn't some louder version of your feelings. It's a space for her to feel her own. All right? And preserving autonomy, if you want to reconnect one day, well, great, fantastic. Honor her boundary today. Her nervous system needs to stop bracing. She needs to feel like her choices actually matter and that you're not just trying to bulldoze her space because your emotions are spiking. Respecting autonomy, it's the foundation of emotional safety, and the emotional safety is the foundation of any future connection in a relationship. Now, lowering emotional resistance, it can be tricky because everything you feel like doing, the texts or the voice notes, the long explanations, acknowledging what you did, they come from a place of good intentions. But if your partner's pulling away, you've got to ask, is this interaction going to be lowering the emotional resistance or raising it? So every time you send the check-in or attempt to explain, if it's not invited, it's likely adding resistance. And you know what lowers emotional resistance? A calm, grounded, and actually a detached presence. Look, not cold, not robotic, but calm. Like, look, hey, I'm here and I'm good and I'm not trying to change your mind. We also want to regulate before you reach out. So one of those most powerful tools is that question, is what I'm about to say for her benefit or to soothe my anxiety? Because most of those reaching out, the long, heartfelt messages or the spontaneous drop-ins in her work, they're not for her, they're for you, just to get a response so you feel less powerless. But that energy, she'll feel it, and it's not comforting, let me tell you that. If you're not calm when you're communicating, you're transmitting anxiety, and that is what's going to push her further away. So try to become the safe place, and this is where a lot of men can go wrong. They try to get safety from her instead of when she actually needs for you to be the safety. If your partner's going to come back, it will be because your presence now feels like peace, not pressure. She'll come back when the thought of being around you feels like freedom, not like she's got to walk on eggshells. So your only job right now is to become the kind of person she'd feel safe being around, again, not through what you say, but through what you do and what you live. So what does that look like? Well, you're actually not living in hope, you're living in purpose. You're not checking the socials, you're actually just checking your own personal growth. You're not sending paragraphs, you're sending yourself to, I don't know, the gym, the books, the therapist's office, and you're not counting the days since you last spoke. We just got to make the time count rather than counting the time, and just drop the outcome. Here's the paradox: when you stop trying to win her back and become the person that might actually be worth choosing and coming back to, and that doesn't mean you don't want her anymore. It just means your identity isn't wrapped around the outcome, because you got to let go of trying to control the process. Don't try to rush the timeline, because you get that your partner's not a project to be managed. She's a person with her own feelings and her own journey. And the only way for you to reconnect, if that's on the cards, it's from a place of clarity. It's a place of freedom and choice. So look, what does that mean? It means stop trying to impress her with your growth and start living it. She doesn't need to hear about your breakthroughs in therapy. She actually just needs to feel the difference. And if and when you speak again, because real change is not loud, it's actually quiet, and that's how you move and what you do when nobody's actually watching you. And so the more you anchor yourself into your values, whether that be peace, self-worth, clarity, the less you're going to need somebody else to validate that you've actually changed. And that's when a man becomes, one who can stop chasing and it can start leading, not because it's a strategy, but I guess that's the work, because that's who you're becoming now. And if that woman, your partner, ever does come back into your life, she'll be walking into a whole new version of you, not the version who panicked, the guy that can become grounded, calm, and detached, right? Because you don't need somebody else to tell you that you're worth it, or you don't need a relationship to measure your worth, because you've actually built a foundation. And if she doesn't come back, you'll still be that guy. You'll still be that version, and that's really where your win is. So I hope that helps. I hope that resonates.